Hey guys, Cypher here. Just a quick word to say, I'm going to see Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom and I am so hyped. I got an exclusive poster with me and oh my god, I'm so excited. And it's just me, I don't care. I'm too hyped. I needed to see this like the day it came out and here I am, so here we go. Oh my god, oh my god. Yes, here we go, here we go, here we go. Okay, creepiest thing in the world. And you can't tell, but no one else is here. It's kind of spooky. Like, I saw that not many people would be here when I booked it, but still not no one here. It's kind of scary. Like, too quiet. This is how horror movies start. Okay. No, it's fine. It's fine. Oh, the screen just died up, so I don't feel so bad now. But, oh my god guys, I am just, I don't normally do these, but I am so hyped, so hyped for this film. And I don't know, like, I don't want to get into it too much, but I think some people think, like, Jurassic World, like, you know, like, I think some people think Jurassic Park was enough. But if you're a huge dino nerd like me, who grew up on Jurassic Park, yeah, no, I mean, I will say the original Jurassic Parks even, the original ones, I think, for me, are the best. I mean, I still enjoy these ones, but yeah, no, the original ones will always be my favourite. But, I'll be interested to see whether they do a repeat of the first, trilogy, I suppose, in doing a trilogy, because we already have this one, which is the second Jurassic World. So I wonder if they'll come full circle and do a third one. I mean, I don't know. If they did, I'd be interested to see what they do, because I feel like this, from what I've seen, is a good lead up or sequel. Like the island is obviously spoilers, I suppose, but obviously if you've seen the trailer, you know, like, the island's blowing up, they're trying to save the dinosaurs, there's a new hybrid. Yeah, that's obviously not going to go too well. Blue's back. I love Blue. It's so pretty. To this day, if someone asked me what my favourite dinosaur is, I couldn't give an answer. Like, no, people. Just walked in and oh my god. It was, I'm going to do like a proper review, but just speaking here now in the moment, it was great. I even cried at some bits because it's just, it got to me. Oh my god, look at my face. Really good, and I'll do a proper review when I get the chance to, hopefully tomorrow, and then I can get that up. But I want to do it while it's fresh. Newsflash, the review is going to have spoilers, obviously, so if you haven't seen it, don't watch it, okay? It was really good, guys, really good. Heads up, because, I mean, this is a fact that everyone knew already, or you should have. The Indoraptor, pretty damn cool, man. Like, really awesome. I'm actually incredibly tempted now to get the pop figure, because I saw it and I was like, oh, that's really cool, but now I've actually seen it, I'm like, I must have it. Just speaking personally here, where they left off, how they finished, I really don't think there's going to be a third one. I really don't see how they could do it, personally. I mean, they may surprise me yet again, but I really don't think. But I will say one thing, just as a word of advice. Anyone who is going to watch this and really loves dinosaurs and everything, bring a pack of tissues. I'm not even kidding. I thought, you know, I was all passed out. I kind of knew what was gonna happen in some bits, but actually seeing it, I was just like, oh. I would do a review now, but I actually have to pack because I've got a coach catch tomorrow, but then hopefully once I'm back home I can do a proper sit down review and thoroughly talk about this, because I want to talk about this, guys. Obviously with any film, I'm not saying it's incredible. You can, if you want to be picky, you can pick up flaws and stuff. There are some things that in it I just thought weren't that great, but overall the fact that I just love dinosaurs kind of outweighs all that. And yeah, maybe you think, well, it needs a bit more of a serious plotline or whatever, but you know, I think mainly now, like particularly with trailers, they tend to give away a lot of stuff nowadays, and they don't really prelude to much, if that makes any sense. But, you know, anyway, I'm going to stop rambling now. Hey guys, Cypher here, and I'm going to apologise for how I look. I don't actually feel too great at the moment. And you would say, oh, Cypher, why not wait till you're actually well enough to make a video? And I'm playing about with the lighting here. Yeah, sorry for the way I look and the fact I looked pretty much like death warmed up. But I wanted to do this while it's still fresh. And so here we are. So this is a review for the second Jurassic World. Ever since Jurassic World came out, it rekindled my already burning passion for the franchise, if that makes any sense. Jurassic Park, the whole trilogy, is my all-time favourite film. Now I know that's not an easy thing to say, but for me, I would actually say it's the truth. It's one of those films that I could continually watch, and I still get excited watching, even though I know to the point exactly what happens, when the music's going to come in, pretty much everything. I can probably recite the entire film for you and not miss anything. I'm not joking. That's how many times I have watched it and enjoyed it. And because Jurassic Park to me is so dear, when they announced Jurassic World, I was, one, overly excited, but at the same time very, very worried, because I was worried for two reasons. One, I was worried that it was going to be better than the originals, to the point where I couldn't actually enjoy them anymore. That was one of my big fears. But the other one was partly because of that, because I think, personally for me, I enjoy the films we have today, like with obviously the advanced technology, all the kinds of effects and everything we can achieve is incredible. It makes, like, obviously the more outdated films look, you can see the flaws more easily and everything like that. But basically nowadays films, you would arguably say, tend to be better. I was also worried that they were in a way going to ruin it, because with Jurassic Park, for me, it holds that sort of more authentic kind of way of doing movies, because Jurassic Park was actually, for those of you who don't know, was one of the very first CGI attempts that they did. Like, it was still a fairly new process back then. And then you take that compared to obviously what we have today, where in the first Jurassic World practically all the dinosaurs were CGI. Now that's not a bad thing, but even like with the close-ups. Now what I liked about Jurassic Park, I'm going to get so confused. What I liked about Jurassic Park is that all the way through all three films, there was a CGI element obviously for the main bits, but then for like the close-ups or things like that, they used life-size animatronics, but they kept that, whereas in Jurassic World, they didn't. I think actually the only scene that I can remember that they had that was where they have the raptors in the cages and they're putting like the collars on them and there are people actually touching them. I'm pretty sure that's the only scene where there is like a puppet there, like it's actually there in the scene, it's not CGI. I could even be wrong with that. I have a feeling when they did like the close-up of the face, that was mostly CGI, which is a shame, because you know, it just kind of took away a bit for me from that. I mean, I still enjoyed it, obviously it was still about dinosaurs, and they spun a whole new element on it with the whole hybrid thing. The Indominus Rex, man, that's genius. Like, I loved that, and then with the raptors and everything like that. But I think at this stage it's a bit of a predictable process. Like, how many times can you have a park of extinct animals getting loose and everything going to shit? And it's basically every film, mostly, that something bad happens. And I think that's, as much as it's predictable, I think it's just a constant way to show that it's like, you know, there's no like happy ending, as it were. Like, this is something that people shouldn't be messing with. Like, this is what Ian Malcolm's all about. Like, he knows that you shouldn't be messing with this. This is not natural. You are messing with Mother Nature, and the problem is we can't control that as humans, despite the fact that we wish to control everything. We can't control that, which obviously leads to devastation, as the first one is a prime example of. It was a great idea, but it was down to that one person. It was like one person's greed basically blew everything up, and that's just us as humans. Like, it's just all these things to do with it. Because I think some people just look at it as like, oh, it's just about dinosaurs running around and killing people, and it's like, yeah, but there's also more to it than that, and I think it does take you a while to kind of get there, but yeah, no. So getting back to the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, it really got me, actually. It's going to be spoilers from here on out, so just to warn you. So, in the trailer, it's very evident that the island is on a deadline, to say the least. The volcano is active, it's going to erupt, destroying the island and obviously killing all the dinosaurs. And there's a debate about whether to save the dinosaurs, because it's a difficult thing, because they are animals, they are an extinct species, but they are alive, and as much as they are genetically made and everything, there's this huge debate about whether to save them or not, or whether to just let nature take its course. And this is when Claire, I don't know her last name actually, but when Claire comes back, she's obviously trying to fight to save the dinosaurs. And you also see Ian Malcolm is back, Jeff Goldblum. Oh, my babe. I loved him so much in the first one. Not surprisingly, he's just saying, just let it happen, let it be, like, we shouldn't have been messing with this in the first place. He was against it, essentially. And you can see obviously both sides of the argument, like, they are alive technically and they should have rights as animals, but also the other thing is, they lived millions and millions of years ago. We should have not brought them back in the first place. And considering obviously what happened with Jurassic World, like the fact that they thought, you know, they had the park up and running, and then because of one little thing being a huge hybrid that they thought would up their ratings, as it were, in fact actually brought the park down, like destroyed it. So there you go. Before that, I kind of skipped past. So the opening scene is you've got people in a little sub, like underwater, and it turns out they're looking for the Indominus Rex skeleton. And obviously the Indominus Rex was killed by the mosasaur at the end of the first one. So obviously you know this is bad. Like, why are they looking for this thing that obviously was a hybrid, and you just know it's not going to be good, right? But obviously, it makes me laugh. There were some moments where I was laughing just by people's pure stupidity, because you know at this point it's just like, nah man, you're dead, you know, it's just like, you're so wrong. So these guys are in the sub, and there's one guy who's obviously visibly like, oh my god, like, really nervous, because they're in the mosasaur, like, enclosure. And the guy's like, relax, anything down here will be dead by now, and it's like, right. Yeah, let's just pretend that is actually a thing. Oh my god. So they find the skeleton, they take a piece of the bone, which is obviously what they want, and obviously you can presume at this point they want it for its DNA purposes. And they take that, and then you just see the mosasaur, like, in a silhouette behind, and it is huge. I think I really underestimated how huge it was, but damn, that thing was big. And then there's some guys on the island, and it's obviously raining, because that just adds to the effect. And he's doing something, and then his helicopter lands, and sure enough, the T-Rex makes her appearance, which obviously needed to happen, because the T-Rex, like, even back at the end, like, Jurassic Park 3, got outshined a bit, because obviously they brought in a new dinosaur, being the Spinosaur. Then in Jurassic World it was the Indominus Rex, although there was that big battle at the end, which I so much appreciated. And the fact that, little tip, if you didn't know, the T-Rex in Jurassic World is the T-Rex that was in Lost World. The one that got brought back to the island and basically just started destroying the city and then got put back again. Yeah, it's that one, because if you look, I'm going to say she, I'm presuming it's a she. She has some scarring, like scars on the side, and obviously because the dinosaurs, unless they're herd animals, aren't put together, the only way they could have got those scars is if they were running free, which obviously, as you know, in Jurassic World. The Lost World. Sorry, I'm getting so confused with all these damn titles, guys. Seriously. Yes, so in the Lost World, that is, I'm presuming it's the T-Rex from that one. I'm pretty sure it is. They find a skeleton, they take a bit, the T-Rex attacks, they kind of get eaten by the mosasaur anyway. Then, because for some reason people thought it was a good idea to have the gates that could open to the ocean attached to the mosasaur enclosure. Like, what? That's just asking for a disaster. Unless the mosasaur actually got clear of its enclosure and that was just like an extended bit to let the boats through, obviously to get to the island. But either way, like, come on man, that was just... You knew something bad was going to happen, and obviously the gates end up, you know, getting jammed, thanks to the T-Rex actually, I think. Mosasaur ends up going free into the ocean. Now, you would think, oh my god, a mosasaur, a giant, freaking huge reptile has just escaped into the ocean, in the free ocean, to the world. Oh my god. But it kind of ends there, really, and you don't see anything more of that until the end, which, you know, I suppose is okay, because the whole point is, you know, they're trying to save the dinosaurs on the islands. Like, did that have to happen then? Like, I feel like they could have maybe added that on at some point. That's just me. Claire's trying to save the dinosaurs, but then through an actual hearing, it becomes clear that they're not going to do anything. And she then goes to see a guy called, I believe his name was Lockwood, I don't know his first name, but he turns out he's friends with John Hammond, and you see a picture of him, and I'm just like, oh, Richard Attenborough, bless you. My eyes are actually really getting hurt from this. Oh, I'm going to turn this off actually, because it's hurting my eyeballs. Sorry guys, that was really hurting my eyes. So yeah, excuse the bad lighting. So I was like, yes, so, Richard Attenborough, John Hammond, bring back so many memories. And she meets him, and he has basically agreed to help save them. He has this other island or piece of land that he owns that he said they can just roam free, just like they did back in on the original Isla Nublar island. Because that is where Jurassic World is. They built Jurassic World on Isla Nublar. She speaks to, so she does meet Lockwood, the old man, but she gets introduced to his assistant, and I actually can't remember his name, but you can tell immediately he looks a bit shifty. Not gonna lie, he's got the kind of shifty attitude about him and all that, and you're just like, you could be trouble. So he introduces Claire to Lockwood, they talk a bit, and he talks about like Hammond's dream and how they just wanted them to roam free and to not be disturbed. So they start talking about, like, you know, how they're going to save some dinosaurs, and I think they said they could save about 12 species. Obviously one of which is Blue, the raptor, and she's the last of her kind. If you remember, the rest of her pack obviously got killed off, unfortunately. But she's the last raptor, and he kind of hints that it's imperative for her to make it back, which you obviously think, again, is not a good idea. But obviously the fact that she's so intelligent and that, you know, you won't get near her or anything, which is where obviously Owen comes back into it, and Claire goes to find him, they talk a bit. He kind of appears to be of the same mind as Ian Malcolm, kind of just let things happen, and then Claire plays the whole Blue's still alive card, like, you know, you raised her thing. And it's like, okay, that's a little bit of a low blow, but obviously, yeah. And then you see him back at his trailer looking at footage from when all the raptors were like little babies. So he reared them and trained them and had like a one-to-one relationship with them. And then it turned out that Blue was quite a special one. Like, I think it was when he showed weakness, she showed more compassion, whereas I think he showed with Delta, when he showed weakness, she attacked. Which is generally what predators are meant to do. They usually obviously pick out on the weak and like exploit any weakness that is shown. Whereas Blue, oh god, she was so cute as a baby, so cute, and like she nuzzled him and everything. Oh, it was adorable, and I was like, come on man, you have to save her. You can't let her go down like this. So a rescue party is established. They go to the island. You see obviously the dinosaurs again, and there's some new members of the team as well. There's like 2 younger people. I really am not familiar with names at this point. One of them is like kind of a bit more introverted, like, you know, likes to be behind his computer, likes his gadgets, but is not too good in the outside world, unfortunately. And also he gets thrown about the most, as you would imagine. Trying to find Blue, and it turns out the way they can do that is that all the dinosaurs have trackers, which was obviously a good way to keep an eye on them if something went wrong originally. So they isolate her code, find her, and then obviously Owen goes in to try and get her. It seems that she at first doesn't really recognise him, but then like eventually kind of starts getting a bit closer and whatnot. And then out of nowhere she gets darted, and it's and Owen told the rest of the team to hold back until his signal. So then obviously you start thinking, oh no, like something's wrong here. And then Blue ends up actually getting shot. Like the guy who runs it all looks like a quite proper, oh, how do I describe this guy? Essentially like what I refer to as like a hunter type. I know that really doesn't make any sense, but he's basically like all butch and just like, yeah, you know, like, I just want my money, but like mercenary type, essentially. And yeah, he's in charge of this, and he's like, no, don't shoot her, because obviously they need her. But then she attacks this guy, and Owen was like, you know, get them all back, but obviously no one listens, and then someone ends up dead, as usual. But he actually ends up shooting Blue, which I was like, oh my god, like, what? I mean, in my mind I'm like, well, she can't die, because, you know, I'm pretty sure she appears later on, but it was just like that moment of, oh my god, she got shot, like, argh. And oh god, it just all goes downhill from there. So they then dart him, Owen, so he can't move. At this point, the volcano erupts. Claire and this other guy get trapped, like, in this building where they were going to reactivate, like, trying to find Blue's tracking code and everything, blah blah blah. Then from there, yeah, like I say, the volcano erupts, and you know, they're trying to get onto the boat that's leaving with all the dinosaurs. Through all this, it turns out the assistant guy is the bad guy, and he wants to get the dinosaurs off the island, but not to save them, as you would have guessed, obviously. We'll see Owen manages to, you know, get himself up as lava is coming down, so, you know, he's trying to roll away from it, which is really funny. And then a stampede of dinosaurs happens. That was really cool, because you got to see some old faces, like obviously the Brachiosaurus, I think there was like Stegosaurus, Gallimimus, oh, is it Styracosaurus, I believe? It's not a Triceratops, it's slightly different. Then the Carnotaurus makes his appearance, as I was so hoping he would. And Claire and this other guy end up in one of those, is it gyrospheres? You know, the big ball things. And then Owen gets trapped on the outside. The T-Rex makes a nice appearance as usual, does her whole signature roar, which, you know, it never gets old. Never, ever, ever. They're all trying to run, like, to get off the island, and you just... That's when, like, the tears started to come, because I was just like, these poor animals, they have nowhere to go. Like, they got to the edge of the cliff, the gyrosphere went off, and then some dinosaurs, like, fell off, and it was horrible, like, really horrible, and I was crying, I wouldn't lie. I was just like, this is just so sad, like, but it marks the end of kind of like an era, although they have saved some dinosaurs. Jurassic Park and like everything that it was, like, is gone, like, and it just hit me right there. But without a doubt, the ultimate saddest moment in that film, because I missed this bit out, but I'm not gonna cry now, Jesus Christ. So I think this is actually honestly very symbolic, and I don't know whether they did this on purpose, but when Jurassic Park opened up and they got on the island, the very first dinosaur you saw was a Brachiosaurus, and you heard it like bellow and make its noise, and then it did the whole rear up, eat the leaf, and then come back down. The very iconic scene of, or one of the iconic scenes of Jurassic Park, but that's how it opened up. That's when you very first saw the very first dinosaur, like living, breathing. And in Jurassic World 2, when they get on the island, that is again the first dinosaur they see after so long, like, you know, when they come back to the island. And the young girl who's with them, the new girl, that's the very first time she's ever seen a living, breathing dinosaur, and again, very symbolic. But then the ultimate saddest moment is, so Owen, Claire, and the other guy, they because the team were going to leave them behind. They were going to get all the dinosaurs on the boat and leave them behind. But they managed to just get on the boat. The T-Rex was saved as well, just as a hint. They took Blue and some other dinosaurs, obviously. Anyway, so they get on the boat, and they look back, and there is what I'm going to presume is the same brachiosaur, because you can't really think of it any other way, like, but there is a brachiosaur running as best it can on the dock, like, towards them, making that really lovely noise, and you just see everything. I'm sorry that I'm crying, but you just see everything being destroyed behind it. Oh my god, I can't believe this. Stop it, stop it. It's just, I think it was the sound that it makes, because it's such a lovely soothing sound, and it's obviously just calling out to be helped, and it's just everything's being destroyed behind it, and it reaches the end of the dock, and obviously Claire's crying at this point, and you can't help but join her. And I can't really explain this scene enough to give it credit, but the fact that it just made me so sad. And then sure enough, and I really didn't expect this, but I'm quite glad, like, a load of smoke builds up behind it, and it eventually becomes consumed by it, and then you kind of just see like the glow of like the fire and the lava through it, and it does that signature rear up bellowing noise. 1 minute the silhouette is there, and then it's gone, and it just struck me so much, because like I say, the first iconic scene of Jurassic Park is that very first dinosaur, and then symbolically and ironically that's how it ends. And I just think that was so cleverly done. Sorry for crying, it brought me back to that moment where I saw it. Anyway, so that was sad, and that's when the island is obviously gone officially, and they've managed to save all they can. They're on the boat and no one knows, and they try and find Blue, because that girl they were with got captured because she knows how to look after them, basically. So the guy keeps her alive, like the hunter guy keeps her alive, so she can keep Blue alive. You know, they find her, and it turns out she's hemorrhaging, and it doesn't look good. And then she says, she's like, like, obviously to save her, we need a transplant. And it's like, you're thinking at this point, it's like, where are you gonna get that from? How does that work, like, for a dinosaur? It turns out, it's like, oh, it doesn't matter as long as we have blood of the same kind of species, in the sense of a theropod dinosaur. And then she says, I believe there's only one other on board. You could probably guess by this point which bloody dinosaur it just so happened to be. The goddamn T-Rex. So Owen and Claire go to get some blood from T-Rex. They open up the crate and she's in there, obviously asleep, and they obviously go in there, and it was funny to watch, because I'm just like, to a T-Rex, you know, one of the apex top predators of its time, and you want blood from it? It was just funny. I don't know, just like me, and there were other people in there laughing as well, because I think it's just of this whole situation. And like Owen goes in and he's like, yeah, she's tranked, it's fine. Oh yeah, give me the bag. And then the T-Rex moves her head, so he's like stuck, and he's like, oh, I'm okay. Which is great. And then Claire ends up going around the other side, and he's like, you're gonna have to do it. And she's like, what? No. It's like, it's fine, you're just gonna have to really jam it in there because she's thick-skinned. And it's like, that's a great idea, obviously. And then Claire ends up on the back of this T-Rex. Actually, getting the blood was pretty simple. Like, they managed to get it in there just fine and get the blood. But then she wakes up, and a lot of dodging and manoeuvring to get out of there, but they managed to get out there alive with the bag. He saves Blue, or gets her stable at least, so she's fine. They like try and stay hidden, and then they end up getting off the boat and taking all the dinosaurs back to this Lockwood guy's estate. It turns out the Lockwood, the guy, has no clue about any of this. He honestly thought we were going to save the dinosaurs and everything was going to be fine. And I also managed to miss out the fact that he has a young granddaughter called Maisie. And, you know, she absolutely loves dinosaurs and all that. A bit of talk, like, briefly about her mother and, like, how she never knew her, blah, blah, blah. And again, you get the idea that something's not right, and turns out, if you did feel that, you were right. Dinosaurs are all being brought together to this island to be sold, essentially. The assistant guy is friends with this other guy. I don't know who he is, some sort of multi-millionaire or billionaire guy. I know the guy who plays him, and he's one of those people that, you know, kind of iconically play villains or bad characters. For the life of me, I can't remember. I don't know his actor name or anything, but unfortunately Owen and Claire and all that get found out and get thrown in a cell, and then the assistant guy comes in and gives this whole like speech, and then he like turns it on Claire's like, you know, you used these animals as well, like you used them for profit, and she's all like, no I didn't. It's like, well yeah you did. Like if you think back to how she was in the first Jurassic World, she really didn't care about the animals. You could just tell they were just a means of, you know, profit, and you know that's obviously how this guy sees them, and they are obviously a very rare, to say the least. And then the assistant guy ends up killing the Lockwood guy because Maisie overheard the assistant guy talking with the billionaire guy about the whole auction and everything, and it was actually happening underneath the house. So she tells her grandfather, and he's a bit like, no, like, don't worry, I'll talk to him about it. And then the assistant guy ends up killing the Lockwood guy. Maisie ends up going down below to like the lab where they've been working on another special feature for the auction, and this is where the hybrid comes in. So they took the Indominus Rex DNA and have made something else, and they call it the Indoraptor, which, if you remember with the Indominus Rex, I believe that was obviously based more after the T-Rex, whereas this one is purely more raptor. So the Indominus Rex did have raptor in it, which is why obviously at one point the raptors kind of turned on Owen and that, because it could communicate with them. But this one is purely more raptor, as you can tell. That then becomes the reason why they need Blue so badly, and then the famous Dr. Wu shows up. Like, I'll be honest, I can't ever look at him really the same in Jurassic Park again. Like, he seemed all, you know, all happy and, you know, very concerned for the animals, and to a point he still is, but he's more willing to make a profit out of them now, which I think is quite sad, considering it was all about, you know, revolutions of science and discovering all these things. But you can tell he cares a bit more about the animals, because he was saying that, so they were going to preview the Indoraptor for this auction. He says, like, you know, you can't do that yet, it's not ready, it's a prototype, and it also needs care. And the assistant guy's like, oh, why do you need that? And I think it was also, they needed Blue because of her DNA and the fact that she's a raptor, and they need that in order to make more. It essentially says it needs a mother, which is obviously why they needed Blue alive, because they could have just as easily killed her and just used her then. But he's like, no, they need a mother, needs to recognise her dominance and everything and learn from that. And the assistant guy's like, yeah, right, whatever, blah, blah. It's basically, from there, it's a matter of trying to stop, you know, the auction and everything. But unfortunately, the Indoraptor does get loose, which, you know, was inevitable. This creature is really clever, I will say that much. Incredibly clever. But yeah, a bit before that, you get to see all these other different dinosaurs, like for the auction. I'm trying to think what they had. They showed the Ankylosaur properly. Like, I think the only glimpse of that you really got was in Jurassic Park 3. It was a very brief moment. There was a theropod dinosaur. It wasn't a baryonyx. No, they had they said it was a juvenile Allosaurus, which was also really cool to see. Oh, they briefly showed at the end, like, one going back in. I believe that was a Suchomimus or a baryonyx. Essentially, how an auction would go, they explain all the, like, perks of it. So, like, for the Ankylosaur, he said, oh, it was like a living tank, this dinosaur, and then you get people bidding like in the millions for this, obviously. I can't even explain how I felt. I was just sitting there just like, oh, people. This is why I don't go out into the world, honestly. No, and then the Indoraptor makes an appearance, and you get like a really good look at it. It a bit like the Rex, it looks like it could sort of go more on all fours as well as on two legs. Because it's called Indoraptor, I don't know if there's any other specific dinosaurs or other animals they included into its DNA like they did with the Indominus Rex, because obviously they put like cuttlefish and all that in there. Basically, they've programmed this animal to literally command to human voice. The way it attacks is it follows a laser, and they demonstrated this. It follows a laser. They laser it onto someone in the audience, and then on the side of the gun it has they said it's a sonic sound system, and they press that, and that's the signal for it to attack, and it goes for it. Lo and behold, so this was literally just a prototype, just to be shown, and it's a preview. It wasn't meant to be sold. But then, To start the bid off, the Russian guy bolts in with 20 million. And then obviously the guy is like, no, it's not for sale. And then more bids start coming in, and then he obviously just very quickly gives in. And even Dr. Wu intervenes at that point and is like, you know, this is just a prototype, you know, you shouldn't be selling this, you know, there's still things that need to be fixed. And he's like, look, this thing is selling for over 60 million, and I'm just like, don't you people ever learn? Like, really, it's just the greed of people. And then obviously it comes back to bite them in the butt, which, you know, karma is a bitch. While this is all going on, Owen and Claire are like watching for a bed, and they're like, you know, we have to stop this, we can't let these animals leave, blah blah blah. And oh, I actually skipped past a bit. So when they were in their cell and they were trying to escape, they looked next door, and I actually cannot pronounce the name of this dinosaur, but it's one of those domed head dinosaurs, like the Pachycephalosaurus, if you know what that is. Not look it up. It is basically something like that, but it's like it begins with an S, I'm not even going to attempt. But it's a really quite cute dinosaur. And in order to get out, Owen makes him, like, bash his head into their wall, and then he eventually breaks through theirs, and then breaks through their cell, and then he's running free. And then sure enough, he ends up in an elevator down towards the auction, and then creates havoc. And this is all happening while the Indoraptor is on display, as obviously. This thing's running around, you know, like butting people and trying to get out of the way. Everyone obviously runs away. And then the auction place is empty. And then that hunter guy, like, turns up again, and he comes into the auction room like, oh, like, where's my money? He sees the Indoraptor, right? And this to me just shows people's stupidity on a more extreme level than I've ever seen, right? So he sees it, and he's like, oh, I've never seen you before, blah, blah, blah. So he shoots it with darts, and it supposedly goes to sleep, right? But in my brain, I'm just like, I don't think so. So then he opens the cage, goes in, obviously doesn't shut it properly, as you do, goes near it, and he has a thing for collecting teeth. Like, you saw him when they were putting the dinosaurs on the ship. He went to, like, a steg and took out one of its teeth. Like, it's like a trophy thing, I think, even though, like, souvenir, whatever. So he goes up to this Indoraptor and he's like, oh, you know, you look pretty cool. Can I have one of your teeth? So he's trying to get this tooth out, and then obviously this thing isn't asleep, as you would know. So you see it like lift its tail, and it's doing a decoy tactic. So obviously it's moving the tail, and because of the movement the guy's looking over, and then you see its eye open, so you know that it's not asleep. Then the moment he turns back, closes his eyes, and then it does it again, and I just thought that is so clever. So then it does it again, and then sure enough, it bites his arm off. You know, it wasn't really gory, which I was glad about, because even back with Jurassic Park, obviously you knew people were getting killed, but there wasn't like a lot of gore. Like, even when the T-Rex like bit that guy that was on the loo, or even things like that, you didn't see a lot of gore. Like, it gave more the impression of it. Like, so he bit his arm off and then he ate it, but even then there wasn't like a really huge amount of gore and guts. It's not like how a horror film would do it, but the thing was, obviously it's not horror, so, and you know, there are obviously little kids that want to watch this. Yeah, so that's literally it. Like, his arm comes off, you know it's off, you see like blood on his hand and his face and whatnot, but you know, it doesn't really focus on it. And then obviously he ends up getting munched, and then obviously the Indoraptor escapes, and then the billionaire guy like runs to the elevator. They get in this elevator all safe and everything, and then go up and think, ha ha ha, yeah, like, I'm alive, whatever. And then the Indoraptor turns and its tail whacks something, and the elevator opens, and obviously it's standing there, and the billionaire guy's like turns around and he sees like people hiding on the door, and he shoves this woman out, and then she does the obvious great idea of turning to see the dinosaur and screaming. But obviously then they all end up getting munched, which, you asked for that, I'm sorry. Like, in all these situations I'm just kind of like, you asked for it, you know. I'm sorry, I have no sympathy for you. Owen and that, I think at this point they're trying to find a way out, and then they find Blue. Or no, they don't find Blue, actually, it's the nerdy guy, because Dr. Wu's trying to like get all this stuff together and leave as per usual, like all the DNA and everything. I'm going to call him the tech guy. He did end up getting found on the boat, but they thought he was part of the crew. So then he got put into Dr. Wu's lab, and he was like, yeah, I need you to get blood from the raptor. And he's like, and he's like, don't just stand there, get this. And the girl at this point is, she's handcuffed to the cage with Blue in it, and obviously Blue is very much awake at this point. And Dr. Wu's like, yeah, you need to take blood from this, and she's like, nah, I'm not going to. And then she goes, oh, anyway, the blood's contaminated, and he's like, don't take me for a fool, like, I made her, she's pure blood. Yeah, but then I had to do a transfusion with a T-Rex to save her life, so, and he's like, what? And it's like, yeah, man. Then they end up, like, releasing Blue, and then she's on the prowl. No, I don't think Dr. Wu got killed, actually. I think he got dragged off by one of the guys, and then these guys think they can match up to a raptor, so they take their chances. Tech guy and the girl, they go. The Indoraptor is loose at this point. Owen and Claire then find Maisie. She knows that her grandfather's dead, and all these bits of details and stuff. But then it's basically about, you know, facing down the Indoraptor and everything. But honestly, there were some scenes with this thing that even I was like, oh my god, that is scary. There's a scene in one of the trailers where you see like the little girl who we know is Maisie in the bed, and then you see this thing like appear out of the shadows and then like reach across like that. And honestly, watching that scene, it was terrifying. I was honestly terrified. And obviously in the trailer, like, why is there a dinosaur in this girl's room? So like they're running, trying to escape this thing before it gets into the room, right? And the thing is, obviously because this thing is designed to track and kill, even naturally, it's a predator. It you know, it hones in on a scent, and then that's it really. Follows Maisie. She's screaming up into her room, which again, not a great idea, but I don't know, she's a kid, I suppose she doesn't really know any better. I feel like I've skipped past some bits there because I get caught up in the moment. So this Indoraptor is on the roof. It's raining, which just adds to it again. And it manages to find her room, and she has like a little balcony thing with like these doors. And it did the very iconic raptor thing where it used its claw to open the door instead of just smashing straight through it, which I think was cool, because if you just had it smashing through, I feel like that would really have, it would have given a whole different feel to the scene. Whereas as it slowly reaches down and then hits the handle and then like pushes it down, and then the door very slowly opens, the wind's blowing through with the rain, and then the curtains are going up and you just see this thing come through. Oh god, like the whole atmosphere was just, it was scary. Like I was honestly just like, oh my god, like this thing's in her room, like ah. But it was just, I think it was just the slow way it went in, because it didn't just go in for the kill. Like I say, it went to reach out and grab this girl, and she's in bed, obviously absolutely terrified. And then obviously Owen barges in and like tries to shoot it, and darts appear to have no effect on this creature whatsoever. Like he shot a good few in it, and it looks like it's going to go down, but then it doesn't. Then Blue makes an appearance, and she ends up fighting with it, and they end up out on the roof. And then over this sort of greenhouse glass roof, and obviously they're facing up to it, and then Blue appears. They like smash through, and it's a very slow motion scene, and I was actually terrified because I thought Blue was going to get killed. And I know they already kind of like glazed past that, and it's kind of like, well, she almost died at the beginning, so really they shouldn't do that again. But people have done that before, it wouldn't have surprised me. I forgot to mention, like, Lockwood, in his house, he has like a mini museum of all dinosaurs, and like all these like glass enclosures with like fake dinosaurs, and then like big skeletons, and the one in the middle is a massive like triceratops head. It's a skull like on display, and when Blue and this raptor like fly through the glass, it does this slow motion like they're grappling scene, and then obviously the Indoraptor ends up on the bottom and just gets staked on the triceratops horns. And for a moment I thought Blue got caught as well, but she ends up missing, and then that's where that kind of ends. When that's done, you think, okay, well, what's going to happen now? Because the main threat or whatever has been killed. So then it got sad again, because all the dinosaurs are in very, very low enclosures in the same area. During the attack with Blue in the lab, poisonous gas got released and is now filtering through. Then it really becomes the option of whether they save these dinosaurs or not, and Claire is like adamant. She's like, yeah, no, we have to save them, and starts releasing them all from their cages. And Owen says, once you do this, there's no going back. So she opens all the cages, and they all end up in the same area together, like all the predators and the other dinosaurs. And you can see the gas leaking through. And then obviously there's this big red button to like open the doors and release them, but the problem is it will release them out into the human world. They're back on civilization, and this is some guy's estate in the middle of the forest, but once those doors open, they will be released. And you think there's a good 12 species or so of dinosaurs in there, so, you know, obviously once she pushes that button and releases them out, there's no telling what could happen. Obviously, as we have learnt, dinosaurs and civilization don't mix, usually, particularly when there's no fences. She's obviously hesitating, and it's really sad because you can see the dinosaurs struggling and like obviously wanting to get away from the gas and like piling in on each other. She doesn't press the button, she turns away, and you're watching dinosaurs like struggle and the gas building up, and you think, oh my god, like I don't want to watch these creatures die. And then out of nowhere, like the lights go green and the doors open, and you turn back and Maisie has pressed the button. I really missed a main point here. So you remember me saying how the whole thing with Maisie's mother just didn't seem right? Well, it turned out, because there was also the thing I didn't mention, so John Hammond and this Lockwood guy actually ended up falling out. Like, they were really good friends. They came up with Jurassic Park, the vision and everything together. It appears that Lockwood did something that Hammond disagreed with, and they parted ways, as it were. And then when the assistant guy was killing Lockwood, he said something about what you did, like Hammond was right, what you did was horrendous, or something like that, like what you did wasn't right. The assistant guy is trying to get out, and he's got like 2 guys with him, and then Owen and Claire at this point have found Maisie. The guy's like, Maisie, come here, like, you know, and she's like, no, I'm not dealing with you. Then he says like, oh, like, you don't even know what she is, and at that point it kind of clicks, but also you're a bit like, just to clarify, just tell me like what I'm thinking is right. And it turns out Lockwood never had a granddaughter. He missed his daughter. I think he lost her somehow. Even going to put it out there, and I have a feeling, because Maisie asked him once if her mother ever visited the island, and he was like, oh yes, like a long time ago. And then it shows Jurassic Park, like how it should have been. You're thinking, okay, like, so she was there. So I don't know whether then she might have been one of the casualties, obviously, during the island's breakout. Turns out Maisie is basically a clone, I believe, like genetically altered. Lockwood made her because he wanted his daughter back, but obviously he made it so that she was his granddaughter, because I think, not so much for her sake, but I think if people asked, it was like, oh, like my daughter left a daughter behind, and no one would be none the wiser. And obviously that's a bit of a hard thing for a little girl to hear. Anyway, skipping ahead back to, like, you know, she pushes the button to save the dinosaurs, they let loose, and she's like, you know, I had to save them, they're alive like me. And it's a bit of a cheesy line, I think some people were laughing when she said it, but kind of connection thing, like, you know, obviously they're not meant to be there, but the fact is they are alive, and they probably deserve to be. And then it pans on to the assistant guy, who somehow managed to survive. And he has the Indominus Rex bit of bone that they had, and he's trying to like stash that away. And then the dinosaurs come charging out, and he gets under his car, which I really don't know how he survives. Like all these freaking huge sauropods and herbivores like crashing over it. He's under the car and he somehow survives. I don't think cars are that strong. I really don't think they are. So I don't know. But in saying that, you think back to Jurassic Park, where they had good over like 10-ton T-Rex, you know, stamping its foot on a car, and somehow it didn't manage to break through and the kids were fine. So I don't know, but I just thought multiple dinosaurs charging over at one point, his chances wouldn't have been that great. He survives, and miraculously so does the Indominus Rex bone that was like out there in the open again, miraculously. So then obviously all the dinosaurs kind of appear to have passed, and he comes out and is like, you know, it's fine. And you just see like all those little, I think what they called copies? Like, I know they have a full name, but like the little dinosaurs that you saw a lot of in Lost World, like they're on top of the car, and they're like looking around. At first I thought, oh god, we're gonna have a repeat of that. But then in the background you see the Carnotaurus like just sort of come round, and I'm like, right. And then out of nowhere, I kind of sort of saw this coming, but the T-Rex just chomps on him and starts dragging him around, and then the Carnotaurus joins in and they pull him apart, and then the T-Rex kicks the Carnotaurus's butt, And then, in the very, very classic T-Rex way, it turns round and does the exact same pose that it did at the end of Jurassic Park after it fought the raptors. And obviously lets out a roar. All this symbolism, I love it. And I have a feeling that's kind of why, like I said very briefly before, I feel like that's why there won't be a third one. Because there's all this very iconic symbolism that goes all the way back to the very first Jurassic Park. I think when it does that, it is kind of symbolising, like, kind of the Alpha Omega thing, like, the beginning of the end, if that makes sense. So yeah, so the T-Rex does the very iconic thing, and then it heads off, it breaks the Indominus Rex bone, and then Blue comes back, makes an appearance, and obviously Owen, like, goes down to her. She lets him pet her, which is really lovely, because he didn't get to before. And it's kind of nice that through all of this, their bond has maintained, despite the fact that, you know, obviously she's a predator. You know, she could very, very easily, if she wanted to, kill him. And there were times I did think, at the very least, she would do something to him. And even at this point, I thought, oh, that's just going to be the symbolism that their bond has ended and that she's become her own creature. And he's like, you know, you can't stay here, you know, you should come with me. They both turn to one of the cages that she was in before. And you can tell that Blue is just not up for that. So she then runs off and is free. But she does the very cute, she looks back before she runs off into the forest, and it's just like, oh, Blue. Then Owen and Claire, oh, I also mentioned they kind of had a very brief moment at one point, and they actually ended up kissing, so they're kind of officially a thing now, I believe. I could be wrong, I don't think they did in Jurassic World. I don't think that ever actually happened. I think they kind of was more symbolised than it was actually shown, or implied. Yeah, and then Ian Malcolm makes a miraculous appearance. I'm actually a bit disappointed because in the trailer he made a whole point of, he did his classic line of life finds a way, and he didn't in the film, so it was obviously something they just did for the trailer. They're still talking about these creatures and everything, and he makes a point. He's like saying, if we're not careful, these creatures were here before us and they could be here after us, like, if we're not careful. And he ends his speech with, we've entered a new era, and while this is going on you see cut-offs to the people who had bought dinosaurs, like some of them in the crates, like obviously being transported to their new owners or whatever, and then you see people with like the DNA for all the dinosaurs, and it's like, shit, that stuff is out there in the world. This isn't good, like, it really isn't good. You can just picture the disaster that's going to happen. People are going to try and make more dinosaurs, more shit is going to happen because you can't control them as much as people believe that they can in whatever way. There's a scene where there's loads of these trucks like driving through, and you see, again, I believe like the Allosaurus, it starts like whacking its crate, and you can see that it's starting to bend, so you're just like, oh no, that's gonna get loose, and just all that kind of stuff. Like, you just know it's gonna be bad. And like Ian Malcolm's doing a speech while this is all going on. Then you see Claire, Owen and Maisie in a car just driving away, and then they turn off to the side and there's a load of pteranodon just flying, because they were the only dinosaurs that actually were okay. Like, they could like just fly off the island, they were fine, but the rest of them were just doomed, essentially, if they weren't saved. Then it pans back to Ian Malcolm, and he finishes his speech with, welcome to Jurassic World. And the symbolism of that is just, as you can probably tell, like, the dinosaurs are now out there in the world. We are now sharing our lives with creatures that have been extinct for millions and millions of years. The T-Rex makes an appearance. The bit you saw in the trailer with it like breaking through what you presume to be a zoo enclosure and facing a lion and doing like a roar off, if you will. And then it ends with Blue running through the wilderness, and then she stops on like a cliff and just is overlooking like an entire city. And that right there just sums it all up for me. There is a dinosaur there in modern day, like, and there are no fences, it's all out there, and there it ends. Oh, and I'm sorry, actually, I'm going to say it now, I'm sorry for rambling on so much about that and going into like so much, but that is basically a fair rundown of the film. It was awesome. It was really awesome, and I loved it. If we're comparing to the first one, ooh, actually, I don't know. I think the first one was okay, but the second one, I think it did for me what very, very few second movies do, in that it does live up to the first one. Like, if you think about various franchises that don't live up. You take Disney as a prime example, right? And I hate to say this, but I think they're so desperate to make money that they take any film they have and make a second one. And the only one for me that's worked for is Lion King 2. I would honestly say, like, I think it's the only one that matched the first one, or at least was a good second. But with Jurassic World 2, it was okay. I think it was okay. Like I say, the CGI elements were good, and they also, I was very happy because when I saw the TV spots, they have brought the animatronics back. The scene where the T-Rex is in the crate and Owen and that are in there, that is an animatronic. Like, it's there, you can see it. It seems better that way, and I really did enjoy it. And like I say, because it's such an iconic series for me, I wanted to see this day one. There was no debate about that. Like, I felt bad that I didn't really go see the other one day one, but I think that's because I was worried. Like I said, I was worried that it wasn't going to be as good. I was worried I wasn't going to enjoy it. But the ironic thing I find is that I actually went to see the first one by myself, and I went to see the second one by myself, because obviously, like I say, with the second one I wanted to go see it on the day, and I did. What can I just, I'm trying to sum this up. The storyline was good, I think. I mean, I'm not really too sure how you would review these things. Like, I'm not entirely sure what makes a good plot line and what doesn't, but for the film, considering it's borderline kind of like the Rampage film, it is essentially about giant creatures destroying the city and then possibly ending up fighting each other. I suppose what you called like a blockbuster monster film, I suppose. Jurassic Park and World do kind of fit into that category, because you do think about it, it's about dinosaurs being let loose, and then from there it's like literally just people trying to survive. But there's also a lot more to it than that. There's also this underlining show of like human nature and human emotion and everything. But yeah, there's a lot more to it than that. And obviously with Nedry, like the whole, greed side of it, which obviously brought everything down to its knees. It's not an extensive storyline, but there is more to it than just like dinosaurs fighting or, eating people. Obviously if you take around like its time, like with the whole new technology and everything, and they were like trying to push their boundaries each time, even up to this modern day. Like obviously they did Jurassic World, and that was more of a modern take, like with all the latest like technology and everything we have now. They even put that in the film, like with all the advanced like gyrospheres and the trains and everything, and all the interactive stuff that you could have. Like they put that in the film. But I think even with that, they wanted to show that even with all that, the advancements and everything, I've not really learned from the mistakes, really. Although I feel like some people think that could be quite boring and, again, quite predictable, I think it's a good thing. No, it really worked well, and I think with this it even amplified more with the whole, like, human side of things. Can't really fault it, and, oh my god, the music, guys. To this day, I can honestly listen to the entire Jurassic Park soundtracks, and I know what every scene is. Like, I don't even have to look at the title, I just hear it and I know what scene this was from. For Jurassic World, for like its time and everything, I feel was okay. It was okay. They still kept to like certain aspects that I enjoyed, and obviously, either way it has dinosaurs in it, so I can't really complain, like, either way. I'm quite happy they did a second one. Like, the dinosaurs are now out in the world, and well, you think, like, do we have to learn to live alongside them? Like, what are we going to do? Because there's nowhere for them to go. Like, apart from, obviously, that island that the guy spoke about, which is possibly where the third one may come into play. Maybe they'll try and, like, remove the dinosaurs and put them back on an island and then just let them be. But the thing is, like, they've kind of tried that before. Like, at the end of The Lost World, like, Hammond made this big speech about, these creatures don't need our help, like, if we could just step aside and trust in nature, life will find a way. And then it just shows the dinosaurs just roaming free on an island. And originally that worked, but nowadays people are very much aware of the existence of dinosaurs. It will be interesting. I would be very interested to see if they made a third one, but I really highly doubt it. Because I think where they've ended it, it kind of, it still leaves stuff to the imagination, like what would it be like if, like, dinosaurs living, like, with us. but also does kind of sum it up. So like, you know, now they're here and we've basically reaped what we've sown. Like, we mess with nature and now nature can mess with us, essentially. Anyway guys, so hope you enjoyed this review, I suppose you could call it. I'm not usually one for this kind of thing, but like I say, with Jurassic Park and Jurassic World, very dear to me, and I got very excited about it, which is kind of why I've been rambling so much, because I just get excited about dinosaurs. So yes, here we are. Be sure to like and share if you did enjoy this video, miraculously, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. But until next time, guys.
How low can you